My name is Christopher Impelia. I've been a Roma supporter since before I was born, when Russell Crowe came to me in a dream whilst I was in my mother's womb, telling me that he would one day make an awesome film about ancient Rome, and that I must also partake in the glories of the Eternal City, for as Americans take over the ownership of the team and become the first foreign owners of any Italian squad, I wish to present the first ever, exclusively AS Roma talk show in English. Reporting from New York, I bring you La Lupa. Here, we will discuss everything from in-depth match analysis to which interplayer you would most like to punch in the face. I would go for Lucio every time. Here, we are biased in favor of Roma, and we are proud of it. Forza Roma! Welcome to La Lupa, the first ever sports talk show dedicated to AS Roma and Serie A in English. I'm joined by my co-host Tom Trunzo, fellow Italian-American and fellow lover of AS Roma and Serie A. For this first episode, let's first take a look at the depressing loss to our hated enemies, Lazio. Tom, what do you think went wrong in that match, and where do you think Luis Enrique and the team can improve?
Well, to start, I don't think it was really entirely Enrique's fault. It looked like the Roma team had no passion out there, no real conviction to begin with for at least the first 60 minutes, not until Bojan came on, and there's a short little spell where they really started to get things flowing really well. But, I partly think Enrique might be right. There's no midfield there. De Rossi always had to drop back. Juan and Heinz have played a hell of a game, but there's too many turnovers to begin with, and not enough attacking options there and chances. They didn't make enough chances for themselves. It just really, there was no passion, it seemed like, until towards the very end of the game, maybe when they started getting desperate.
Out of desperation, they were making that final push. But it also seems almost that, despite the sending off, it was the Roma system which has once again failed to penetrate a more traditional style Italian defense. And I think that is one of the main problems that Luis Enrique is still trying to figure out, how to go about correcting that, how to go about breaking down the most stubborn defenses. And of course, Lazio was lined up traditionally 4-4-1-1, putting pressure on the attacking players, just waiting for them to lose the ball before counterattacking. Of course, in this situation, that led to the sending off of Stekelenburg, and from there, the game pretty much went downhill.
No, I definitely agree. Lazio's best chances came from when Roma, made a sloppy pass, gave away possession. That had to do with Stekelenburg sending off, obviously, because they gave away possession, had a close call, and Stekelenburg made the right call and unfortunately got the wrong call from the ref. Other chances like that, I believe Tede, threw a pass in there, sloppy pass. Simplicio, sloppy pass. Hernanes picked it up and almost scored again until Juan hustled back there to get it out of his control. But it's too many chances where they gave the ball away, and instead of making a crisp, clean pass, unfortunately, was what did them in.
So there's definitely something missing in the Roma squad that is allowing these teams to consistently play the same way and break down Roma quite easily. And I mean, in my opinion, it seems like Luis Enrique's approach is a very brave one, but he's missing key elements which are necessary in order to avoid the counter-attacking football which is ingrained in Italy. And I think that is definitely a defensive midfielder besides De Rossi, who is reliable in a holding role.
So, yeah, I definitely agree. There's something missing there. Maybe it could be also team chemistry. Honestly, there is this mentality about a defensive Italian mentality, and they can always perhaps get a good goal for a lightning strike counterattack. But honestly, some of Roma's best chances didn't come off a counterattack, and they definitely have a potential to play Enrique's style if it comes to fruition, where they can have a strong passing game. If they can get that perfected, they get a strong passing game and get some good chances going in a sort of Spanish style of play. But maybe Enrique needs to find a balance between the two, between the Italian defensive-minded style of play and a Barcelonan Spanish style of play, and hopefully that balance would be a good key to the game.
Exactly, because you have a Roma team based on a Barcelona team, but without the same type of players. Yes, we have many quality players, but Barcelona's success at breaking down defenses, which in Spain are probably not as tough to break down as in Italy, but their ability to break down these defenses are through players like Messi, who can dribble through 9 defenders by himself, and passers like Iniesta or Xavi, who can easily split a defense open. Instead, Roma seems to get stuck, and because we're not brave enough to make those passes because we're constantly giving away the ball and leading to counterattacks, but we don't have maybe that confidence or that type of quality player in order to break down the defense, and instead of crossing in the ball traditionally to make some chances, we're passing the ball backwards, waiting for that opportunity to come, which it never will. So then again, it seems like we need a midfield player who's a holding midfielder, but someone who can also defend well enough in case a counterattack does ensue.
Marquinhos and Simplicio, when they were finally substituted in, they did a great job helping spark something of an offense that the Roma team, whatever offense they can muster together, crossing and getting some passes organized. And aside from Simplicio's one almost grave mistake when he gave away that pass, he played very well. Both of them played very well, in my opinion. And Roma needs more of that. And unfortunately, De Rossi always has to, or he chooses to stay back, and there's no offensive potential in the midfield at the moment.
Right. It seems like the pressure's put on Pjanic and Gago, who are pretty small guys, to make all the chances. At the same time, they're under pressure to defend the back line as well as defensive midfielders, but they're obviously not suited for that type of play. They're more midfielders who can initiate attacks but then would struggle to defend. So Simplicio does fit that role as the more defensive, technical player who can also spark into chances and score a few goals, as we've seen. But that's I think the balance that we need more of. We need that midfield which is confident to make the through passes, as well as strong enough to hold the defense intact. And I think that also will come with time when Pjanic is no longer weighs 30 pounds. Once he gets a little more meat on him, maybe the defense will be a bit stronger. The referees in Italy, of course, come under a lot of scrutiny, especially after all the match-fixing scandals. And unfortunately, as Roma supporters, we, in the past seasons, have had a lot of trouble with referees who've given all kinds of ridiculous calls in favor of Inter and other big teams. Of course, here, Bergonzi did not have the best game, and it definitely cost us the match in the end. Was it the correct call to send off Stekelenburg? I mean, here we have the footage of Stekelenburg's being sent off, and obviously Juan and Pjanic is upset because you can see Hernandez puts in the ball and he takes the fall. Yes, maybe there was definitely some contact, so in that case it would be at least a yellow card, but you can see Juan is actually right over the ball ready to recuperate it, and in that case it's not a clear goal scoring opportunity, and it should be a penalty, yes, but should it be a sending off? Probably not. Unfortunately, that cost us the game. Poor Labant, who's usually pretty solid, couldn't, of course, stop this penalty.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Thankfully, Labant has had some real experience against big teams before when Stekelenburg was out earlier. So he got a little more experience to show in this game and did very well. Nothing he could do about the later goal, and especially about this penalty, unfortunately. But he did play his game in place of an unfair call, which really shouldn't have had Stekelenburg leave the game in the first place.
And that sort of brings up the actual law in football that the Italian Federation is starting to consider, whether or not it's appropriate that there should be both a penalty and a sending off for a goal-scoring opportunity when a keeper comes out in that type of way. You see a lot of people diving, trying to get the keeper sent off. It's sort of a sucker punch. It's a double kill when it conditions the entire match. So in the end, we see that obviously Luis Enrique's pretty pissed off about the result. He himself said in the Corriere dello Sport's interview, what did I do to deserve this shit? Obviously, he has had really good intentions, but his tactics are obviously wrong, so what he's doing to deserve that shit, I mean, obviously there's something wrong that he doesn't necessarily deserve it, but he needs to learn from these mistakes and make some changes in the squad to prevent these counterattacks and to prevent other teams scoring from dead ball situations, which have been the two basically killer ways that Roma has gone under.
No, I definitely agree. I'm not going to be as harsh a critic as Luis Enrique as my colleague is at the moment, because he's still young, the team is still young, and I think at the moment they're still trying to work out their chemistry to find a better balance of all things good and hopefully find a better, more consistent Roma team. And speaking of a consistent team, we're looking ahead now to Sunday's match against Palermo. And honestly, Chris, who do you want to see in the lineup for Sunday's match?
It's going to be tough against Palermo, especially with their attacking duo. So in order to combat that, and especially after all of our disqualifications and injuries and displays at Lazio, as right back, I'd get rid of Tadej. He gave away far too many balls. He's dedicated, but right back for me goes to the young Alejandro Rossi. He's not the most consistent player, but he's quick, he's dedicated. He could be the guy to take it to the byline, put in a few good crosses, open up a few chances. Central defense, of course, is going to be difficult without Juan, but it's sort of a given. Our only other options now, with Bordiso injured, is Kjaer and, of course, Heinze. Now, there's no chemistry between the two whatsoever. Hopefully that improves before the next match. Heinze has been pretty dedicated. Kjaer tries hard, but he's not as good as he possibly could be one day. Left back, I think, is an easy pick. I put down Jose Angel, who had a great game against Lazio. Angel. All right, so now the big question is the midfield and the attacking options. So for me, my first choice, of course, would be De Rossi. The other alternative to De Rossi, someone who could definitely back him up and I think is a quality player, I'd put in Simplicio. So now then we have two pretty defensive-minded players. Simplicio also is good at going forward, but De Rossi is going to be sitting back. Now who's going to be more in that playmaking role? I think Marquinhos demonstrated that he's up to the task and he's going to try to make a name for himself in Europe. So I would put here Marquinhos. I think this would be a pretty good balanced midfield with De Rossi, who's the classic sit back and defend the back line, Simplicio, who can do a little bit of both, and Marquinhos, who's a good attacking player. So then going to the attack, we have a whole bunch of other good options. Now, of course, the legend has to be there. Totti, for me, is always going to be someone who can make a difference. Now, alongside Totti, there's always trouble with chemistry and everything, but someone who's really proved himself and who can link up well with Totti has been Borini. And Borini even earned himself a spot on the Italy squad in the recent friendly. Didn't go too well, but he had a great game. And I think he's going to be a beast, and he has already been labeled the next Inzaghi. So Borini, for me, should be up there, no doubt. Now for the third option, we have Lamela, who is usually the first choice for Enrique. And yes, he has had pretty good games. But for me, we need to see more of Bojan. There has simply not been enough Bojan. And he's been playing better off the bench, but I think he needs to shine starting now. Osvaldo, of course, is out. Lamela's a great person to come in case Totti's injured. He could definitely fill in for Totti. Last but not least, pretty easy selection between either Lobant or Curci. Now, Curci was a pretty solid player for Sampdoria, He did let in 1 billion goals, but I don't like him because he played for Sampdoria, so I'm going to immediately put in Lobant, who's pretty solid anyway. He's a good professional second keeper, solid at the back. So I think that is the most solid lineup that we could have against Palermo. So Tom, is this the selection that you would make if you were Luis Enrique going to Palermo?
Absolutely. I couldn't have done it better myself, perhaps a little neater, but I definitely like to see Marquinhos and Simplicio in the game. They definitely had a hell of a game against Lazio, and Enrique should have played them earlier. That's my only gripe with him, but he didn't, and finally when they did get in the game, they really started to spark the offense, and especially when Bojan also came in, he should have played much earlier as well, perhaps started instead of Lamela.
So Luis Enrique, if you're watching this, which you probably are, please put this line out for us. Alright, so now that we're done with the more serious stuff, here at La Lupa we'd like to make things a little bit more interesting. So for today's episode, we're going to take a look at the AS Roma's hottest wives and girlfriends, and I think we'll decide which one definitely is the hottest. So here we have the AS Roma wags, at least the ones I could find. As we know, Roma's a pretty young team, and a lot of the guys are probably not into committed relationships, haven't been found with their girlfriends, or don't have wives. So let's start with Bojan's. What do you think, Tom?
She looks like a nice girl. A lot of personality, but I don't know. She's not cutting it for me. I think Bojan needs to step it up, get a little more confidence. Maybe if Enrique played him more often, he might move past that old flame of his. Bring on the next one.
All right. So now we have Cicinho, not often seen on the pitch, but still a Roma player. Used to be very good.
Brazilian cutie, not bad. Getting better. Maybe Bojan can learn a thing or two from this young man.
Yeah, she seems all right, like a good, loving Brazilian wife. Now we have Gisela Dolco, who is a professional tennis player, and of course the girlfriend of Fernando Gago.
Not Anna Kournikova, but hell of a girl, and I think she deserves the title so far at the moment.
And she does have the Anna Kournikova braid. Maybe she's aspiring to one day be as gorgeous as her Russian counterpart. But yeah, not bad, and a great tennis player, great doubles player. Then we have De Rossi's wife, Tamara.
Somehow they look the same almost. It seems they look the same. I don't know, but not bad. A little fat around the face, but that's what having a couple kids does to you, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's true. And of course, if you do look at type in De Rossi on Google, you are gonna get a picture of Portia De Rossi. This is not De Rossi, Daniela De Rossi's wife. This is actually Ellen DeGeneres' wife. Yes, she's fine. She's a lesbian, so she's not in the competition. Sorry. And moving on from Portia, we have Ilari Blasi, who is, of course, Totti's wife.
Slamming. Not fair that she probably got the best looking picture, though. That definitely helps. Maybe if they all had bikinis, we'd have different opinions, but she's got the title so far in my mind, and she's going to be reigning for a couple of weeks at least in this little game of ours.
I mean, if anyone can find any wags of a Roma player who's better looking than Ilari, actually of any Italian player, because Ilari she's up there. She is Venus herself. She's the goddess of Rome, and for me, she will always reign supreme. Thank you for joining us for this first episode of La Lupa. I hope you enjoyed the show. Now, before we go, I just want you to feel free to write to me whatever questions you might have concerning Italian football, translation questions, anything about AS Roma, of course. Send it to the email below. Of course, subscribe to this channel if you love us. Now, I just like to leave you with a beautiful lesson in the Roman dialect.
Beh, ciao, eh?